Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. All right, so starting today with the US dollar, which, well, plummeted, dropped sharply, flowed to the downside. There was a gap reversal and gap down, and it's in a downtrend, and it looks like it's going to go lower. And it's breaking the support on a closing basis. We'll see where it closes the week. And, dollar going down. Gold is at new all-time highs after that deep retracement. And this move, so you got a wide range bar on the weekly, which is suggestive of that things would stall soon. Stall doesn't mean change in trend. But I can tell you that this kind of a move, after a depth of retracement like this that violates support, to have an immediate reversal like that suggests it's going to go higher. And it's a new all-time high. So 3,500, 4,000. I mean, nobody knows. The only thing that could change that if it had a deep retracement all the way back down again, and that would be more indicative of a intermediate term top where things get very volatile um, in a top. So at this point, monitoring this to see how much it pulls back or the lack thereof, or ideally, what would really put I think, kind of a lock on it is, and this is current, that it continues to move the distance that prices get above the prior high would be a good indication of that. So in this week we discussed, and I think in the last week we discussed reading slowing momentum, which is similar. This didn't really make it a higher high by much, or if it did at all, probably on a closing basis it did. But the distance between the highs as it slows, where this you get that momentum move. So here there was a momentum move and a very slight pullback and a strong momentum move. And so things collapse, and we have this news-driven market, where that collapse. But in a bull market, what you want to see is that prices advance. I don't know the right word because I can't measure it, a reasonable amount above the prior high, which opens the door to a reasonable retracement before it goes higher again. So that is something we'll be watching, and we don't want to see it come all the way back down. And so silver, everything in this, what's going on in this market, kind of some things are, I would say, somewhat in sync, but out of sync and kind of crazy, kind of, to figure out, why this collapse. There's probably some news item that I'm not aware of, but I mean, it's just have such a violent move like this, and gold moving up as it is. In any event, this is starting to work its way higher. We'll just see how it is. And from an intraday point of view, I like this. I mean, it's really whippy and erratic. Not that I like this kind of a pattern, but I think this has the possibility to play some catch up, maybe toward the 50, in this minor resistance area there. So I think that's something to keep an eye on if, you trade this intraday, or you could obviously use the ETF. But this could do some catching up. So the markets here are kind of, I guess, in a shock, not really moving very much after the huge up day. And yesterday pre-market, I mentioned that it's not uncommon to have relatively large down days that certainly put the up day in question. And so we're not sure yet, but meaning, will this go sideways? What kind of pattern would this give us? I don't think we're going to get it today. I think we're going to go into next week. Uh, toward the options expiration and the holiday and such, where a retest of this area, maybe a break of the low is in store. The 65-minute chart doesn't give us any great insights here. And there's the power move, the retracement. Yesterday we talked about the concept of creating support, and it's doing that, but it's creating resistance. Pivot highs versus pivot lows. It's kind of grinding up, sort of like what would refer to as a bear flag. So does it trade below a prior low? So you can see on the 5-minute here, if it was to break down below that, I think that starts to open up the door, maybe, to moving lower toward, well, at least yesterday's low, and maybe it deteriorates from there. So maybe, because we don't have any clarity here other than to say in a definitive way, what's the trend? The trend is down. What's about the weekly trend? The trend is down. And so can it make a turn here? Big wide range bar. Well, we can kind of have that sort of that thought, right? That there's that possibility. How do we apply this to our MTS factory work? Well, does the close stay in the upper 50% of the wide range bar? Well, so far, yes. What about the tails to the bottom? That's okay. That's part of the historical pattern that evolves with a wide range bar like that. But things are so wild, ranges are so large that there's nothing to do yet from this time frame. Right? Things have to calm down. So whether it's coming down here to do a retest reversal or go sideways as it moves away. So the concept of corrections through time, right, begin to dissipate the energy, the uncertainty of this wildness, in addition to the overhead resistance that is directly up above. So there's no great, there's not even a good advantage here to thinking long from this time frame or short yet. But from an intraday time frame, you could always do anything that sets up according to your plan. And so we don't have any great setups at this time from any swing trading perspective. We have similar price action on the NASDAQ, right? And we've seen that over the last several days. Yes, things are extended when we look at the weekly chart. We've got sort of pseudo measured move to the downside. So it's down enough to stabilize. It's doing that, but we don't have any kind of a pattern, actionable pattern, let's just call it. The Dow is now negative within this range. Big deal. From this time frame, 65-minute time frame, it's not a big deal. This is just a trading range back and forth. So we're just putting things in perspective of what is. We've got the Russell, same story. So a lot of happy days, down day, correction day from the happy day, normal, void, support, resistance. Leave it alone. Unless you're a day trader, just leave it alone. Gold, silver we looked at. Oil is down a little bit here. Erratic price action. It broke down. That's bearish. We'll have to see if it continues to go lower. We talked about and everyone has finally, about recession. And so copper fell apart in industrial metal. We looked at silver yesterday. This has got a kind of a bottoming pattern there, Maybe that can flip up a little bit. So got to be flexible. The transports broke down, similar kind of whip back and forth. Yes, does a deeper retracement being okay in a transition stage 1, 2 in that W bottom? Well, what W bottom? If we are speculating on a W bottom on all of these patterns that we're looking at, there's a deeper retracement being okay in a transition, right? So page one, page two, and that's the old way. You can okay to explain it that way, but downtrend, sideways trend, building a support area, or one, two, you know, one going up. Well, I forget. It's been so many years. One, two, three, whatever. It's going down. It's going to go sideways. When you say W, some kind of a retest. Now, the textbook type of a retest has a shallow retracement up, and then it comes back down again to retest the low. Maybe makes a new low, but the majority of the time, one side of the W is going to have a power bar on the 60, and which contract or which market. So I'll post when Dan's talking a document I made about asking questions, because we cannot read people's minds. Is a confirmed W. Well, if you're talking about the transports, I mean, a W is a W, right? It's a momentum move. It turns. How it turns is whatever. A shallow retracement and a retest. It's a W. Looks just like a W. So on the ES, on the 65-minute, this is no W. This is a momentum move. So when you get a power move, it's supposed to stay in the upper half, right? Power moves like this, if you're talking about what is the more bullish thing to do, the most bullish thing to do is just keep ripping higher, right? But it creates this void, right? This lack of any support to trade against. So ideally, it goes sideways and then up and builds a support. And the ideal would be a 1, 2, 3, 4, not a 1, 2, 3, because 1, 2, 1, 2 in a downtrend with resistance overhead, while you can count 1, 2, it's not a high probability trade. That's why I don't even like to refer to it as a 1, 2, because when I say 1, 2, it creates a thought of a buy setup, and that is not a buy setup. So ideally, it goes sideways. Like that's the idea of a 1, 2, 3, 4, or a count to five, whatever. Let me continue before it gets too late. All right. Interest rates are up. This is, people say banks, institutions, whatever, you know, sold the hell out of bonds and pushed up interest rates and made Trump blink on the tariffs, because now the cost to refinance the debt goes up significantly. Overall, it's in a big range. So we'll just see what this does over the coming days. But as you can see, it's up a little bit more. And relative to that, the markets are holding up relatively well here. So they seem somewhat washed out. Let's call it washed out. And, at the end of the week, you know, people catching their breath as to, let's see what's going to develop here and happen next. Before I get to SPX, you look around and you have similar things, semiconductors, which had same big, huge up day. Internet, same downtrend. You go sometimes we look at mid caps, no different. And, banks, banks are going to start getting earnings, just, down near support regional banks. They come after the big money center banks, but big, wide, whippy price action. It's not at support yet. So, there's nothing here to say, unless you want to start averaging in on the way down, because we had our internals signaled the other day. All right. So some down move could get this down to minus 300. I don't know if that'll happen, but if we were to get a minus 300 reading with sentiment down here, I would suggest you buy something, start averaging into Qs or spiders, you know, whatever. All right, SPX. We do that. Hand it over to Dan. You know, I don't mind discussing all of this stuff and explaining. I mean, we do have a little bit of a time constraint, but especially for those of you that are, that join us every morning. I mean, I've posted 2-for-1 specials. Come in the green room. We can talk all day long, or not all day, but good part of the day, and you can get this education. So the gist of the signal, what signal is the media going to give any day now? Well, it's not going to take much more of prices just hanging down here, going a little lower to get the famous death cross, which often has preceded a buy. Sometimes death crosses come near the beginning of a move. Well, this is extended by any measure that you want to look at, but it's then movement further to the downside. The 50 will cross under the 200, and you'll see CNBC, quote, the death cross. And so as SPY. And many times it's preceded where the markets have stabilized and gone up. So moving average crossovers are great when things are trending, but if they cross near the end of the thing, and that's where a lot of people get destroyed using them. All right, so ranges are enormous, even intraday. So you gotta, take that into your money management. That you're going to require smaller positions. Doesn't mean you can't do the trade, but you do it intelligently. If you normally trade whatever, the mini ES with 3 contracts, do it with one bigger stop. Or don't do it at all. Trade something else. That's what some of these guys like. Yesterday, someone was asking me about prop firms and trading futures. They don't tell you. They just want you to sign up so you can start paying your fee, for your paper trading account. But I was telling, I think it was, I forget who it was, in the chat, in the social media, like one mini ES contract on a 5-minute chart is like, 150, $60. Stop under a prior bar's low. And that you just may as well cut your throat, especially in a volatile market. And now when you start thinking about, you're going to put it under a pivot and, how many points away it is, and you're going to risk, $700, that may be way too much for you. 55.80. Anyway, it kind of something to think about. The attraction there is, you don't have to go get your day trader license and all of those other prop trading firms anyway, or it's basically a scam, which I've written about. Anyway, so this is within striking distance, but you got resistance there, unlikely to get up there. Markets are, I don't know, I'm just thinking they'll jiggle around here, but in any event, you're far enough away, and that's what we want for a starting point during the day. This is decently under there. You don't have to do these numbers, but if you were to do them every day, they work. But we can do better during the day. But these give you the extremes where markets are highly unlikely to go on a day-to-day basis. I inverted the numbers. Puts and calls are inverted. What does that mean, Brett? Did I make a mistake with the post? That's to the downside. Let me see. Once a year, Apex does $17 a month. Uh, That's not the, I'm not against anybody trading futures and, someone funding an account. Um, I'm just telling you to be aware of, the attraction to futures, and that the uh the ranges have expanded so much that the risk that you have to take to just place the trade at a reasonable stop. I think I posted it right. Oh, it says call. It should say put. I got you, but the numbers are right. So I'm going to hand it over to Dan because it's late. I got you what you said. All right. The words are wrong. This should have been gotcha. Thank you. Go ahead, Dan.
Good morning. Happy Zero DTE Day. Friday. And next Friday's off, so Zero DTE will be Thursday. I posted pre-market a number of trades, and with the market gap up, I said, it was up here. I said this is going to be, I said clearly at the time it would be a put spread day. Still could be, but now it's given up the gain and we're just back in this trading range. But I posted a number of trades here, ideas. Let me show you a couple of them. Well, this was from yesterday. IONQ is I have a ton of 123s. I don't think any in uptrends, but as beautiful bottoming patterns like this with a void. So that I would take. Let it take out yesterday's high. It's good to go. Got a bullish retest weekly. And then a bunch, obviously, in downtrends where we'd just be trading the bounce. I posted a big list of 123s yesterday afternoon. I went through them pre-market here, set a bunch of alarms. Here's one I gave official, a gap reversal, and a downtrend. But I got a Climo, I got this, and I got a void. So I like that over the high. The directional.
Yeah.
JD. I just saw the bullish gap up. I said over a 5-minute high, we could sell a put spread, but it's actually giving up the gap. Let's cancel that one just because it's given up too much. But I'll keep an eye on it anyway. BABA, we're in naked puts, but I gave another put spread for the weekly. But I said it has to be over 108. So now that's invalid. IoT 1, 2, 3 on a downtrend, but if it takes out yesterday's high, put spread. Roblex 1, 2, 3 in a downtrend, but put spread. Mister, I gave this as a 0 DTE. 0 DTE. If let's see what it does here. I gave it 250. Is that right? 250 down here. Let me tell them to hold off. MSTR and BABA. I just want to watch them. I'll watch them just at the open here because of the retracement. All right, so those khaki. 1, 2, 3. Alex, you gave today's Friday. You gave this to me on Wednesday, and I was hoping for a 1, 2, 3. So at least this one has higher high and higher low with a void. Now my alarm went off, but I don't see any prints. I have it here in the bottom right. Sam, this was your 1, 2, 3 from yesterday. Up alarms going off. See, I'm not going to chase it in a weak market. Ideally, it would have given us another inside day. And let me go to a couple of these bank earnings and then I'll continue with these 1, 2, 3. Wow, every one of these banks were green this morning. Giving them up. Look, JPM exceeded the gap fill. Saying, wow, I wonder. Look at this. Every one of these were bullish this morning. Wow. All right, probably. All right, so I got a big fat mountain there. This poor thing. That's a nasty trend. Here was a potential bottoming pattern, but see that the 20 MA couldn't even get flat. I had one green bar and then fell again. So that's horrible. All right, unless you all have some trades, I'll just go through all these one, 2, 3. Let me go through our opens here real quick because we don't have many. Qs. We have the 415 puts that expire today. We put on yesterday. Covered half yesterday. I tightened the stop to yesterday's low, so that's totally fine. KWeb, we did a put spread, took half our profit yesterday, and then Tesla, we have the naked 220s for today. And that's it in the advisor and the weekly options trader. All right, so we have Baba, 87.5 short puts. Look at that, 87.5. Look how low this is. Crazy. I don't, there's extra risk trading China stocks, but I was talking about China. I was surprised the market was up with China's retaliation, and that was one reason I was holding off on more longs yesterday. And there's no patterns, number one. Number two, China retaliation and the market was up. It's like I was priced in. They expected worse. All right, AC, this alarm just went off, AMCR. Another 1, 2, 3 from the monster list yesterday. Let me set an alarm at 9:05. Hope it doesn't. Ideally we get another inside day. Target would be just the 20 MAs and a downtrend. But 30-minute high might be a good day trade too. If it takes out the 30-minute high, you could give it a tight stop under 890 for a day trade. So that looks good. AMCR, I'll put him here. And then Baba. Man, that's it. I don't have any alarms going on. I had a Netflix as a possible 0 DTE. My 9:30 alarm went off, and then it failed here. I set a new alarm at 9:25. Well, let me just see how low we can go. Let's see what the juice bar is under yesterday's low. 885. My charts aren't holding here. It's only 9:32 though. All right, what did I say? 880. Wow, massive juice. So yesterday's low, 894. We could do the 870s. Um, all right, so I would say over this pre-market little pop here over 931. Let me post this. Nice zero GT, 92,000 shares of a $900 stock in 3.5 minutes. Can you believe that? Incredible.
And your Tesla looks like you got a lock on that 220 put. That looks, most of these fangs, not most, but some of them look like they could go up if they can clear the midday resistance. NVIDIA is strong, relative. Microsoft, not bad. I'm looking at 5-minute charts.
Yeah, I said pre-market high, but yeah, I fixed it. And 5-minute market's not holding well.
Not doing anything.
FHB. I am not crazy about it. FHB. At a minimum, I would like it to close like this. Because look at their 15-minute chart is with a Climo and on support. Here, this one, Bravo Golf. 1, 2, 3. I like the bottoming action. Hope it closes like this. Berg. I set all these alarms on these 1, 2, 3s this morning. Ferg here hit my 162 alarm. A lot of these would be good put spirits, but I looked and they were so friggin' spreading. Let me check Bravo Golf again. 70s or 67.5. 67.5. I love this if it closes like this. I'll put that in the weekend letter. 67.5 is 50 by 115. So I'm gonna put an order out for $1. EMPH. I like that one better, substantially better, Thomas, than your FHB, both the daily and the 15. I'll put this on my list for if it closes like this, it could be a possible short for Monday. I put out a bunch of orders to sell VXX, but I guess they're ridiculous. It's spreading. Yeah, well, I totally agree. Totally agree. But
What strikes you trying to sell on VXX, yeah?
the highest ones, well, I put orders up for a bunch of them. For next week. I'll show you. Trying to sell the 160s all the way to 175s.
Wow. What kind of premium is there? That's like crazy far.
Well, it's a spread, is the problem. So I'm going low offer. See, that's where computer would really help me, just to watch them and you see somebody, put up a high bid and you pop it. But yeah, these spreads are just ludicrous.
Oh, they don't want to play.
I know. Right, not unless we get an intraday swan dive of some sort. There, Netflix was hit 931. Alarm. Look at that bar. All right, so maybe now we could go tighter then. Right? So we don't have to do that exact one. So let me try 885 now. Oh, that was 6 days. Man, I was about to pop. What the subject I was just saying. I sell 665s for $1, but it's 6 DTE. Like, what? It still looks good though. All right, I'm gonna pop it. All right, the 8. Well, even this is kind of spready. So let's see, the 8, 885. Yeah, 885 under yesterday's low. 855 is 1.25. Greg, you like the 185s for today?
You mean 1,085, Dan?
No, Netflix, 885.
Oh, 885. Yeah, it's below yesterday's low. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Texan was weak today, Thomas. I didn't get through my whole list. Uh, so here, 665. So Greg, there, if you go out the next week, I mean, you just get, I mean, the spreads are crazy, but you can, the 645s. Holy shit. Ah, it's earnings is what? 417. All right, that explains it. Because look at this, Greg. 645s for next week. $1 by 208. So if it wasn't earnings, I'd try to sell them at $1.30 right now, naked myself. But I mean, it still looks good. Does anybody think? Does anybody think Netflix is gapping down here to 645? I don't. Let me see if there's any other ones sticking out. The 600s, 50 by 109. All right, I'm going to put an order out for 80 cents for those. Now, the buying power requirement is $6,000 to make 60 cents. So it's a buying power hog. All right, TFII alarm. Um, so Greg, give me your thought on this. I love this 1, 2, 3, but you got a wall of resistance here. Do you think it's still good to give under the rationale that it'll go through that because of the reversal?
Trend is still down. It might. I mean, I wouldn't expect it to do anything immediately, but you could buy half and see what happens.
Yeah, Texans just too extended for me, Thomas, to do anything. I had it on my list for maybe a call spread, particularly if the market's bouncing like it is. I'm not, I'm not interested in shorts unless it's really delicious. And that's down too much to be delicious. Yeah, my alarm just went off. AMCR. All right, what about this one, Greg? You like? I just don't, stop yesterday. Is that just 1-to-1 is the problem?
There's tons of patterns like this.
I got him.
I don't like, well, I got them too. I mean, there's tons of them out there. And so as far as swings go, I'm not swing trading these things, but like I'm long Nvidia here because it's a similar pattern, wide range bar, inside bar, intraday base. But for day trades, I don't think anything here is set up to where you could be have an expectation that they're going to go, that they're in any way clear for swing trades.
Only I just had alarms on them, so I'm just asking you about the ones that are
I mean,
worth.
you can do them with small positions. I'm just, you asked my view. That's my view. That doesn't mean it's right.
Well, what about Bravo Golf here over yesterday?
I wouldn't. It's a piece of crap. It's in a sideways downtrend mess.
Well, cap reversal, of course.
I mean, it could go up. Everything had a gap reversal because that's what the market did. So I think while we balance ignoring certain news with, hey, this is the chart. I mean, we're dealing with a news-driven market, and we saw what happened with that other stock. That it just collapsed after things calmed down. So, that might move up into that unfilled gap resistance. And so, if you want to place a trade, put the stop wherever, share size it accordingly. There's no guarantee any trade's going to work, even the ones that look better than that. So,
All right, well, just asking you select ones.
I don't think you're going to find anything that's going to be a no-brainer.
Well, I, well, here, well, let me show you the ones I gave officially this morning.
I saw khaki. That was better than these ones that are just bottoming with resistance overhead.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I'm showing you the ones I gave official. So this one triggered half a lot. IONQ.
Yeah, another bottoming stock, declining 50, pivot to the left there. But it could go through it. I mean, if the market takes off, a lifting market lifts garbage, to the top. So it's just that, that's what we're dealing with right now. But if you're not doing something, there's no chance of possibly making either. So that's the balance. Just do it intelligently.
I gave Algin over Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, that's nothing special either. I mean, it bounced because the market bounced, and otherwise maybe it would have continued its death trend. But if the market, if, I don't think it's going to do much of anything until next week. But, right, for the moment, things overall are neutral to slightly positive the way they're trading. You could see the way the Qs and spiders and even the Russell here, they're acting relatively well. I'm looking at 5 and 2 minute charts, relatively well. at these pivot highs. We'll see if they get through them. Things would probably lift up a little bit more. You can see I've got my 5 minutes here, and overall, it's kind of a coin flip whether they get through this resistance or not. But so far, they're holding, and you got a trading range. So until proven, I mean, just taking today's action where, and where it, ended yesterday, it looks like it wants to try and get through that, looking at the Qs and the spiders. And if they do, like this NVIDIA, it's not lighting the world on fire, but it's kind of it's grinding its way up. And so, Netflix that you looked at, it's overall moving up, Apple's moving up, Amazon's moving up. They're all either at resistance or they've cleared some resistance. So nothing here is suggestive, other than on a short-term basis. I think these things will go up a bit, and maybe by, 10:30 or something, we're going to be back into either coma or who knows what. It's that kind of market environment. Yeah, and some of these ones that you've shown that are in downtrends and reversals, they reverse because the market reversed. And for me anyway, personally, to consider holding something in a downtrend that got whippy in front of a weekend when the probability of China or Trump saying something and it could work out to your advantage and things rip. We saw what happened. So I just don't have a high degree of confidence, especially in things that are in downtrends. So
Okay, web was fine. Test was fine. Here's one I gave yesterday. Doing good.
that's got a 15-minute chart, that is something to trade. But the daily chart, that's not a very good chart at all. But maybe think that something like that could go up a bit. Just putting it in perspective.
Interactive broker alarm. Another 1, 2, 3, then I get early alarm on.
Right, exactly. Where's that gonna go?
Well, I'm looking at 150s, Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay.
They're massive. It must have earnings. Yep, earnings next week. 140. Wow, spready as can be. 140s or 115 by $3. So forget that. That's it. Those are all the opens.
Getting 5 minute red candles. Meta is weaker than the rest of them. Nvidia is the strongest so far. So that consumer sentiment was considerably lower than the expectation, and market isn't cracking.
Mm. It would depend on the strikes. It's up more than the others. From here to here, it's up a lot more. So unless it was the 160s, then I'm not a fan of that one. Baxter's a mess.
There's a little crack. Nothing decisive here.
Netflix is pulling in. Fine.
Financials are holding up. Trading range, looking at 5-minute charts, but they came off, they came right back up. Nvidia still in that's turning back up again, but there's 2.5 minutes to go on this 5-minute bar. If it can negate the prior red bar, look, markets are coming back up. They're, from what I'm, some of these are decent size 5-minute bars to be negating a red bar. And that can only be positive within the context of higher time frames that are, dailies anyway. But Nvidia's 15-minute chart, if it can clear these highs, there's a gap fill and, maybe it gets up through the 20, so. SMH on the 65 minute. Well, if the 5 can hold here, it starts to move up. Maybe it can move up a little bit. So maybe there'll be a little, you know, rally for the morning anyway. It's already 10 o'clock. So maybe seeing if things come together, at least in the short term. And that you traded the UDAO the other day, Sam, or last week, right? The leverage one, I think. Yeah. So I like, I mean, look at what the markets are doing here. If it can clear these highs for a day trade, I mean, buyers are stepping up here. They stepped up on the news that went down, it came back up again. So there's buyers lurking below. Now, are they willing to become more aggressive and take the offer, you know, to push it up a bit versus, just kind of sitting back if it dips and then selling resistance and ping pong kind of, that would be just garbage. Well, that's all we do, right, Alex, is trade little ifs and big ifs. Some ifs are better than other ifs. We're never sure of anything until we know. But the price action that preceded the if is what gives us the confidence, right? Or a stronger bias that something will do, like what you're saying, clear resistance. So when we see prices dip down strongly and they immediately come back up again, that's supportive of getting through resistance. Now, if it goes down and it comes back up and it goes back down again, we should just take our marbles and go home.
You still play with marbles?
Every day.
All right. Alex told me one time that Sam lost all his marbles.
Yeah. We're kind of getting the Christmas tree effect here. Red, green, red, green. Russell, I don't know how much time. There's 2.5 minutes to go in this 5-minute chart. So we got to make sure it closes red, but breaking under those lows would support going lower.
Hmm.
Uh, Roger Dodger's logged into YouTube listening to us. He's typing to me.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know, Alex, reward race on that. I gave this as a put spread over yesterday. Roblox put spread.
out of Nvidia, so maybe that means the market's gonna go down. That was one of the strongest, and oh. Mm. And
Sam, how do I answer you? I know they're talking about restricting Trump's access, uh, um, to get congressional approval and things. But remember, they still need to pass the legislation. And what that legislation says and how we end up, I have no friggin' idea. So I'm just trading the charts like always. Yeah, so my put spread bias for the morning is now tabled. Meta at the low. Oh, is that the one Alex you said? Yeah, yeah, I see what you wrote. Yeah, meta looks one of the weakest of the things. Tesla, we gotta make it flip, but it's so far away, we're fine. Yeah, and the video gave it up. Yeah, I think we better maybe talk about turning in those marbles. Calling it a day. Total mess here.
Might get filled on your VIX stuff.
The spreads are so bad. It's gonna take a bigger jump than this, but let me see if the spreads have tightened any. Even for today, let's see if there's anything. No, nothing for today. There is, depending on how tight you want to do. But I'm doing well. No, the spreads are still asinine for next week. The 135s and above are crazy spreads. But I'll definitely be looking to do it on the next, if like, broader markets do another kerplunk. Maybe something happens over the weekend. We get our kerplunk on Monday and Tuesday. I would love it. Damn, your LHX 123. I mean, most of these are just book spreads, but the spreads are S&M. I'm looking at some of these 123s on the other computer. I'm still here. That silver had a nice move. We were talking about it the other day, the SLV. Man, up 3 straight days from when we talked about it. Good. Remember I told you I shorted $35 puts yesterday? Well, it's right here, this resistance. So they can consolidate another day or two. I think they'll go through that. And then you gotta avoid the put spread is working for me. Bidding a penny to get out. I actually sold puts yesterday on this earnings. Bravo Kilo, Burger King. I sold the 70s. And I'm bidding a dime, but can't get out because of the stupid spreads. Cyber. 1, 2, 3. I think it's one of the few that took out that prior pivot. Set an alarm. 343. Barry. Barry's not bad. 1, 2, 3. Put some 61. Sixties is 0 by 205. Stop turning. $2 even. All right, I went through my big list of other computer, set a couple of alarms, but I have nothing ready to go now. Hey, Sam, before you leave, will you tell us where you're going to? Ah, cool. All these little gyrations, the 15-minute and hourly are just total range bound. That's just noise. All right, I heard a bell. I got filled on something. Let me see. Yeah, my Burger King. All right, I got filled at a dime. I'm done with Burger King. No kidding. This is boring and a mess. No kidding. But you see what I mean? The 15s and hourlies. Total trading range.
You can short the Russell. Looks like it's going lower. It's definitely a 5 minute sell setup. Oh, yeah, lower. Right away it pops up. Algos are having a fun day. This completes with a topping tail. It's done. Sellers are lurking above, buyers below. It's getting tighter. Some news going on. Some Fed guy talking. gotta go down.